Alright, you guys, welcome back to another deck list for you. Today we're going to be looking at Radwanski's top 4 list from the recent U150 tournament that we had in Linden. I'm showing this one because it's a very unique twist on a deck that we've already shown before. I didn't really want to show the first, second, or third place list because you guys have already seen those. Grady, Kyle, and I took first, second, third with Lost World, Kingdra, and Stage 1 Rush, so there's nothing really too new to show you there. The Kingdra list is a little bit different, and the Stage 1 Rush was a little bit different, but instead I did want to talk about this interesting concept that we didn't think about, and I really wanted to showcase it because I really enjoyed this concept. So first and foremost, I'm showing you the 2 cards from Crimson Invasion over here because those are the 2 cards that won't be in the big picture to your right because they don't have Crimson Invasion on Lackey just yet, and they totally needed to because it's starting to really make me mad. So he did play a Xerneas list. It was kind of similar to our list, but just like enough different to make it awesome. That's what I would say. But he plays this Xerneas not only for lead to have a great starting Pokemon, and if you don't get the Dunsparce or Spiritomb, but Bright Horns 130, you're going to be one-shotting a lot of things. Muscle Band, Choice Band, you're going to be one-shotting a lot of Stage 2s that are in effect. The only things that you're not one-shotting is GX attacks, GX Pokemon. That's like really the only thing. But you got other things to one-shot GXs. So this Xerneas, very, very good. It is an EX, however, that is the downside to this. And then he is playing a Lucamine in this deck as well. Grady and I have always gone back and forth of whether or not Lucamine is worth it in a lot of cards, in a lot of decks. Sorry. But I feel like it works good in here because Fairy Garden is so important, and then being able to Skyfield whenever you need to get that extra damage with Rainbow Force is also very important, so I think that's the stress on Lucamine, and it does give you a little bit of consistency, especially with that Porygon 2 in play. So, playing both of these, but if you're going to take a look at the list, it's going to be kind of similar to our Rainbow Force Geomancy list. However, it does play a 2-2-2 line of the Serene Grace Togekisses. Now, the reason I really like this is one of the big problems with Rainbow Force to begin with was the energy attachments. If you didn't open Geomancy, or at least get Geomancy like turn 2, you would fall behind really, really quick with your attachments, and you couldn't Rainbow Force over and over again. However, with the Serene Grace, it gives you those extra like 2 or 3 energy drops to make full use of Fairy Transfer and full use of your backup attackers such as Deontay, and a Manectric, and even Carbink, and then the Xerneas from Crimson Invasion. It makes so much use of that. It's not so focused on Rainbow Force, which is extremely cool in my opinion. So I really, really enjoy that. He is opting to play the 1-1 Manectric line still. I talked to Sean afterwards, and he said he really never used it throughout the tournament, so it could be dropped for some other stuff. You could drop it for that Kecleon if you're looking for extra damage with Rainbow Force, because right now you have 1, 2, 3 types that are always going to see the field if Claydol's out, Porygon's out, Togekiss is out, or sorry, your Fairy Pokemon are out, and then maybe one of these 2 is out. So like if you really needed to get that one shot, you could drop these 2 for a Kecleon. And the real reason you can drop it for the Kecleon is because look how many colorless Pokemon you're playing. Sean opted to play a Winona, right? Which is really, really cool because if you have Broken Time Space in play, you can Winona for Togepi, Togekick, and Togekiss and just get that Serene Grace right away. And since he's also playing the Winona, he also plays a 1-1 Clefable line, a card that we've discussed at length of being really, really good, and it is on that suspect list of being broken because of the Moonstone Clefairy. So having this Winona gives him a lot of consistency to his support Pokemon, even that 1-1 Porygon line. He is playing the 1-1 instead of the 2-2. Obviously to save space because he's got so many support Pokemon in this deck that I don't think he can afford to play it. So, and Porygon 2 from Delta Species is one of those cards that we've wanted to drop here and there, but we like the consistency, especially with the Porygon Z in play, and being able to have 2 basic Porygons, so that when when your Porygon 2 gets Ketchard killed or Gust killed or anything like that, you can just evolve into the Porygon that's on your bench already. I know that it's not out yet, but we see that exact thing come into play big time in the finals match between Weavile and Stage 1 that I'll be posting sometime this week. So, But yeah, so I really like the amount of colorless Pokemon, and Winona is just perfect in this deck because of that. Serene Grace takes all of the negative downsides of Rainbow Force and gives it this little buffer, as well as being able to use Livestream far more effectively and not needing to put an EXP share on Electrike every single game just to conserve your energies. It solves all of the bad problems and makes this deck actually very playable. I think the biggest problem with the deck is the fact that pretty much all of your main attackers are EXs. Deontay's obviously an EX. All three Xerneases are EX. Steam Siege, Breakthrough, and Crimson Invasion are all EXs. And that's kind of a big problem because then your non-EX attackers are your Carbink, which you have to commit 3 energies to. Again, not the worst thing to do because 3 energies on there is 100 damage. So you're doing the same amount as you would with Rainbow Spear anyways. 70 HP, neither here nor there, but that's a non-EX attacker, and then your Clefable's a non-EX attacker. And then a great other non-EX attacker actually is this Togetic with Super Metronome. Sure, you have to flip a coin, but you get to pick one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks, not just your defending Pokemon. So it acts very similar to Clefable, just any Pokemon. Sure, it's on a coin flip, but hey, if you flip heads, you can get some really broken attacks on your opponent's bench. So those are really only your non-EX attackers, and they're played around, right? You can play around them. Togetic and Clefable, you can play some stuff that they can't attack into. They're not necessarily good against like Kingdra, Lost World, that sort of thing. You're not going to have very many attacks to copy. And then Carbink is gonna use those 3 energies, but you just got to get a return KO on it, and they're wasting 3 energies on a 70 HP Pokemon. So I think if this deck can find some way to get around the fact that they have so many EXs, especially 2 EX bench sitters, and if you evolve this Togekiss, obviously you're going to use this Togekiss over here. But if you evolve this Togekiss, yeah, you're going to have an EX sitting on your bench. Aromatisse is an EX, you're going to have that sitting on your bench. I think those are the big problems. Outside of that, I think he streamlined his supporters really well. He cuts cards like he told me about Copycat, where he said, it just wasn't useful and I needed space, so I'm cutting Copycat to make this a little bit more consistent. He's not a fan of Misty's Wrath, even though I think Misty's Wrath is a must-have in a lot of decks. This is no exception. And after that, we talked a little bit afterwards, and I was like, you know what, I don't see many things that I would necessarily change with this. I think the Misty's Wrath is like the only main card you're missing. Extra energies would help so that you could take advantage of Max Elixir and Serene Grace. I think if you were asking me right now what I would cut, I don't know if Lusamine is necessarily worth it or not. I never asked Sean if Lusamine was like actually worth it, because Grady and I are still doing a lot of testing on Lusamine. Lusamine's obviously good in decks like Lost World and that sort of thing, but in this deck I don't know if it's necessarily worth the 100 spot. So I think Lusamine would be a cut. I think I could cut this 1/1 Manectric Electric line, and then I'd actually cut, I think, Togekiss as well, this Togekiss, because you're always going to want to go into this Togekiss right here, because A, it's non-EX, B, it's searchable with Winona, and C, it gets you 2 more cards off the top of your deck, right? I don't think it's any different your Pokemon any way you like. And this says top 8 choose basic energies, touch them. Yeah, they're the same thing, but just 2 more, and this was an EX. Fairy Wind is not going to bust anything. That 60 damage isn't really going to do much. Yeah, it has Delta Evolution, and that's probably one reason why it's in here. But if you have like a 2-2-1 line, you can do a Devo Spray play with it to evolve another one. And I think you're going to want Devo Spray and Hyper Devo Spray just to reuse Serene Grace over and over again. Because you're playing Porygon Z, you're going to play Devo Spray, so I think Hyper Devo Spray goes. So I think you could afford to cut this Togekiss. I played Sean twice, once in Swiss and once in Top, and both times he always opted for the Great Encounters one, so I think this one might not be worth it, even though it has Delta Evolution. So there's 1 card there, these 2 cards here, and Lusamine. And what I would add in is a Hyper Devo Spray, a Misty's Wrath, maybe a Porygon, and an energy. I think you need some more energies. Right now it's at what, 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So 16, 17 energies seems like a lot, but it's one that you kind of need, especially since you're playing Max Elixir and Serene Grace. Outside of that, like I said, I think he streamlined his Pokemon well. He played Pokemon Center, which I think is correct. The Mr. Mime is correct. Mr. Fuji I really enjoy for that bench space. He's got the Elite Four. He's got a Fighting Fury Belt, EXP share, that sort of thing. I really enjoyed his list. I really enjoyed the way he put it together. There's just like those one or two things that I would change if you're looking for room. The Misty's Wrath is definitely one that I would play as well. There is a super rod here, right? Yeah, super rod. So, but yeah, great list. Thank you, Sean, for building it and sharing your list with me so I could put it on the channel. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. Hopefully, Sean will take a look at it and answer your questions if you have any questions for him. If you have any more questions for me, let me know. If not, lots of videos coming out this week, so we will see you next time.